Quipper is the BROAC.
Quipper is consistent.
And Quipper is innovation.
QUIPRA means habitat for threatened and endangered species.
QUIPRA means public input.
QUIPRA is resilience.
QUIPRA is synergistic.
QUIPRA is habitat restoration.
QUIPRA is science.
QUIPRA is protecting infrastructure.
QUIPRA is recreation.
QUIPRA is the Coastal Wetlands Planning, Protection, and Restoration Act.
Hi, I'm Corey Miller, Director of Community Resilience for the Coalition to Restore Coastal Louisiana. We thank you for joining us on our culminating day of Restoration on the Half Shell. On any given day, life along Louisiana's coast can be described as living in a sportsman's paradise, Cancer Alley, the Big Easy, or a hurricane highway. Life here is a balancing act between the bounty of natural resources and the dynamic, constant change of the landscape, all with the ever-looming perils of the next hurricane sprinkled on top. It is important to acknowledge that long before us, there were plenty of indigenous people who found that balance and steadied themselves on the tightrope. Before we begin our programming, it is important that we recognize the land that we are all standing upon and those who occupied it before us. For those of you outside of New Orleans, I ask that you add to the chat the names of the indigenous people who once occupied and made home of the land you now call home, so that we may all read and recognize their existence. If you are not familiar with the tribal history in your area, we encourage you to learn more. You may visit native-land.ca as an introductory resource, but please realize that this is general and not an exhaustive list of those who stood before. For those of us in the New Orleans area, I want to first acknowledge that this land has been known by many names, including Bulbancha, the land of many foreign languages. It was known as a hub where many nations came together for ceremony and trade. We recognize those tribes and people who once occupied this land before New Orleans came to be, like the Washa, the Kuwasha, the Atakapa, the Bayugula, the Akolapisi, the Quinapisi, and the Tangipahoa, as well as those who remain today or were moved or may no longer occupy this territory, like the Alabama Coushatta, the Chickasaw, the Seminole, the Creek, the Tunica, the Chitamacha, and the Biloxi. We recognize the Homas and the Choctaw who still reside today. We encourage you to learn more about tribal nations in your area and how you can support their sovereignty and environmental justice for all indigenous communities. For today's programming, we bring you 3 individuals who are driving change for their communities and our coast. First, we will hear from Sandy Nguyen, the Executive Director of Coastal Communities Consulting, a nonprofit that supports local commercial fishers and their families to improve quality of life as they adapt to our changing coast. We will watch an inspiring film by Sage Michael, an activist who is leading a charge to revitalize Lincoln Beach in New Orleans, to restore this once segregated public park along the shore of Lake Pontchartrain. We will conclude with Colette Pichon Battle, Executive Director of the Gulf Coast Center for Law and Policy, to learn about her efforts with the Gulf South for the Green New Deal, a movement that is advancing a regional vision for a just climate transition. Following each presentation, we will have time for Q&A. Please feel free to type into the chat at any time as questions or comments arise. And now, onto the program.
My name is Sandy Nguyen. I am the Executive Director of Coastal Communities Consulting. We're known more for our three letters in our logo, CCC. Coastal Communities Consulting was established as a direct result of the BP oil spill. And to further extend my long-time work with the community, specifically for the coastal communities and the commercial fishing business and families. I started doing this work at the age of 14 in 9th grade. I was born to a fisherman, married to one now. And I think I developed all of this work for the community and so specific with the commercial fishing industry because it was a direct result of my parents' struggles as immigrant. Came over here with 5 children, a whole new land, didn't speak English, didn't have educational, formal education. So daddy hopped on the boat right away. We resettled in Louisiana because of the lucrative fishing industry and the climate. And so it was a trade that allowed my dad to get right into and begin making money to raise their kids. So daddy hopped on a boat right away with a friend that knew him very well from Vietnam. And mom started try to learn English through the ESL thing and try to get into the government support system and things like that. Just was too rough, was too difficult, and began shuckling oysters. And she shuckled oysters 2 shifts a day. And so we pretty much was raised by our 10-year-old brother. And at the age of, by the time I made it to high school, dad had problems with his own small business, which was a skimmer boat at the time. I started taking over the business side of it. Went through high school, graduated, went to Tulane for 4 years. By that time, I helped over 400 to 500 families in New Orleans East with fishing businesses, grocery stores, and I got really good at it, just through translation. And after college, I just couldn't take a corporate job. I kept at it with the community. I've never taken money from them for my services. And quite frankly, I've learned a lot from the community I serve. But it's just struggles that my parents went through. It's basically how I got into it. And then after Katrina, I went out to the coast. And that's when I found that our generational American fishermen, the Blacks, the Whites, the Cajuns, they were all struggling the same ways as our immigrant community of fishermen were struggling. Lack of formal education, you know, you didn't make it to the 7th grade, you're hopping on a boat with grandpa. So policies and documents and applications are things that are really meaningful for them when it's available, but oftentimes they don't get the information or be able to complete those processes on their own. And I found that many of our coastal businesses and fishermen businesses look at their business as a way of life and doesn't understand that they are a small business and should be run like a small business, right? And so that's where I come in and fill the gap, right? During Katrina, being able to process those LRA grants and loan program was something that was available for them. Many did not qualify because they just didn't run the business like the business. And so this is what we do at the CCC. We were established in 2010. We have one central location in Gretna, Louisiana. We service 7 parishes in Southeast Louisiana. Orleans, Plaquemines, St. Bernard, Lafourche, Terrebonne, and St. Tammany. Those are the 7 parishes that we focus on, and the ones that are most needy of our service. I think our service, the way we service our clients is very unique because we do the direct service with an educational piece. And so one of my goals at the office is to slowly bring these commercial fishing families and coastal businesses to be able to keep that culture and that way of life, but understand that it is a small business that's very vital to our state's economy and regional economy. And so this is what I do, but since Katrina, no one in this whole world has been through what Southeast Louisiana have been through. And that's 3 back-to-back, very devastating, very different disaster. And so from Katrina to 10 years of BP spill, we received our last check last September. And then this COVID came. It's all 3 very different, right? So I tend to think that our coastal community and our fishermen have been the most resilient folks, considering nobody cares, nobody comes out that far, right? And so every day, this is what we do at the CCC, is to meet the needs of our coastal communities and our small businesses, but very, very specifically cater to the commercial fishermen. So with that, we provide business technical assistance, economic development, disaster recovery assistance. Yeah, disaster recovery assistance. And it used to be social service, but it got too much for us since we understood about the 2017 master plan. So we've been incorporating environmental restoration issues and education as one of our main focus area. And it basically caters to coastal businesses because no one else does it. And we service our clients in the office and in their community in 4 languages: Vietnamese, Cambodian, Spanish, and English. And so this is what the CCC was developed for. And I think and I feel every coastal communities across our country needs the CCC.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Sandy, for providing that nice overview of what CCC does. I'm curious, could you let us know how many clients does CCC service? You said across 7 parishes, but what are the the numbers that you impact?
Am I unmuted?
Yes, go ahead.
It's been about over 10 years. We currently have over 2,900 clients on file, distinct clients. I would say a good 70% of them are from the coast and from the coastal communities and fishermen.
And you mentioned in the presentation that you staff speak 4 different languages in order to service the clients. Could you help maybe explain to our participants, like what's the breakdown? How many of your clients are Vietnamese? How many are Croatian? Just roughly. And I know that there's a significant Cambodian group as well, but help us understand a little bit about the diversity of populations that you serve.
We have a large community of Cambodian, which is about 40 families in Beers, Louisiana. I know there's a lot more in St. Mary's Parish that we don't have the capacity to serve. However, our office serves about a good 70% to 75% Asian community, and then another about 10 to 20% Caucasian and African American generational fisher families along the coast, and the rest is like others. So, and we do it. The reason why I staff the office in different languages is because our coast is very diverse. And for the community that we serve it, with the lack of education and literacy and language barriers, it would only be effective to do technical assistance and provide them effective service if we could do it in their own language.
Excellent.
And maybe that's one of the things that draws a lot of clients too, is to be able to sit through an entity training or a financial bank statement. I mean, like a review of tax documents or whatnot, and they're able to understand it. And it's quicker if we can do it in their own language.
Absolutely. That kind of brings up the next point that I wanted to make sure we get across. You know, a lot of the work that you do, from my understanding, is helping people to navigate the various different programs, from BP claims to COVID relief to fisheries disaster funding, and from what I understand, someone who's very well versed is English as their first language can have a significant difficulty just with the technical understanding and navigating of those, but it seems like your office is able to eliminate some of those additional barriers for community members that might not have the same language access. But I also understand that you go above and beyond just helping people to get the money that they deserve, that is being doled out for these types of relief, that you oftentimes are able to couple that with planning and to make sure that people are trying to set themselves up for success, so to speak, with that funding. Could you speak to that how you kind of go above and beyond with your organization?
Well, just commercial fishing in general, we're very experienced in already, just from me working for so long and then retraining my staff. The service to us is easy, right? Applications and stuff. But the whole idea of doing individual session is that at the end of the day, the most important thing for our clients to us is the education piece, right? You can do the application and all that good stuff pretty easy. Everything is online these days, especially for my staff. It wasn't like that with me. I had to learn the hard way. However, what means the most to us is the fact that whatever the issue is, the task is, we want to ensure that they understand and be educated about it, right? Even grant applications, they're often, our clients are often miss out. They miss out on those opportunities because there's no internet out there. Language is an issue. Literacy is always an issue. No one really, there's no organization where they live. That's why oftentimes after a disaster, we go out to them, right? And so, for example, doing a grant application, it would mean meeting with them, discuss with them about the program, introducing them and to have them understand the qualification, the supporting documentation, actually do the application for them, and most importantly, explain to them the post requirement to protect the agency or the organization that are giving them this opportunity for the grant. And so we service them holistically, but most importantly to me is when they understand and are educated more, I think it also brings up their confidence, and in turns, the more they learn, in my opinion, the more leaders we can create within the community.
So speaking of learning, I get paid 40 hours a week to dig into plans for restoration and to understand them and to figure out ways to communicate that to different members of different residents along our coast. Can you help the audience understand the role that you play and what that takes for you to be able to be in the position to help 2,900 residents across our coast just understand what's going on with restoration, the science behind the projects that are moving forward, and how you're able to help your constituents understand that?
Well, number one is I think that the advantage we have at the CCC has always been the trust amongst the communities. And through these individual technical assistance sessions, a session for that actual service is between, say, for example, 15 to 20 minutes. It usually winds up to be 40 to 50 minutes because conversations are going on while we're doing the service for them. And that's where we kind of get, while they're splurging and talking to us about other issues, is where we discover where they need help at. And so one of the big issue with folks living across the coast is that they don't get the information quick enough. No one really cares to go out there to educate and train them, but certain issues, especially with what's going on with the diversions and big projects that we know are going to impact them, I feel it's a need for them to understand and be informed. Therefore, understanding historically that they're always excluded and never get to participate in much of the planning or the meetings or the policies, it's important that a trusted organization like myself, somebody that they depend on too, nowadays, to come out and kind of translate, the environmental science, making it easier for them to understand, tweaking as much as I can into, normal daily terminology, and inform them so that they could be able to be prepared. I mean, I wish government could do it more often, but it's understandable with that disconnect with coastal communities and just, the general big population.
Absolutely. So someone chimed in with a question here. With a higher than normal hurricane season expected again this year, how do the shrimpers prepare for this? Is there anything that shrimpers do differently, expecting maybe a worse than normal hurricane season, or is it just reactionary?
I think, every year we get offers for funding to go along the coast and get our communities prepared for hurricanes. I always tell that funder, I think we should go out there and learn some stuff from them because they know exactly what to do after a hurricane. They are just as weather resilient as with these folks. I thought that it would be it after Katrina when the eye of the storm hit directly into Lower Plaquemines. Immediately I was out there, of course, informing, educating, letting them know what's available, but you can see they don't often wait for government help. They were knocked down, the entire fleet was knocked down, but within days and weeks, the way they do it after a storm is they barter their service, never talk about money. You know how to weld, you weld your boat, you go down to the next person. I mean, literally, after every hurricane, these communities stick together, get together, and handle their business on their own. Because remember, a boat is a family, right? And so this is where they're really brilliant at. If it's a hurricane, they're expert at it. I'm not worried. But if you consider what they've been going through for the last 15 years, BP, we still really haven't gotten over BP yet. And that was a very different storm. So, of course, no one was prepared for that. It was tough. But, the claim settlement helped a little bit. And then right in front of the shrimp season in 2000, the shrimp season is always our biggest season, COVID hit. So at this point, we are trying to keep up with the capacity and the need for COVID relief and recovery programs. It's too bad that we can't reach everyone. In addition to this, we are also helping our community provide public comments for the EIS process for the mid-Barrett area. And so hurricanes is not an issue with our commercial fishing industry in the coast. However, when you have unexpected, crazy 100-year-old pandemics like COVID, it gets to be overwhelming at certain times. And we're not going to even go into the mental health that all of this has caused too. So,
yeah, it seems like every time you think that you're just starting to recover from one thing, another thing's coming down the pipeline. One last question. People want to know how can they support your organization, and I'll add, or the communities that you serve.
We're just probably one of the few, or maybe the only one in Southeast Louisiana that does this specific service, education, and actually go out to these community. So when funding CCC will be actually a really good way of helping our community. We take donation any time of the year, form of a check. We are working online at our website at www.ccc-nola.org. We're working on revamping our website to accommodate donations from across the country. And then, we always have Give NOLA Day. But we appreciate any support from the community, outside of the community we serve.
Well, that's excellent, Sandy. And I'll add one more to it. If you're in a restaurant in Louisiana and you're ordering any kind of shrimp or seafood, ask if it's a Louisiana product, and always insist. So that helps our local fishers for sure. Thank you very much, Sandy. It was a pleasure having you. And we're going to go ahead and shift on over to a wonderful video that Sage Michael has produced, and then we'll follow up with some Q&A with him.
Hello, future coastal leaders. I am grateful for this opportunity to show you my favorite place, Lincoln Beach. I'm going to walk you through the trail, and after this experience, the future is only a second away. So hopefully that I inspire you to become coastal leaders. I'm a second away. But now enjoy my favorite place in this world, Lincoln Beach. And all full disclaimer, you cannot come on Lincoln Beach right now. It's trespassing. Fortunately, I have earned the respect of the city leaders, where the mayor of New Orleans have called me the mayor of Lincoln Beach. Now, how does that happen? That happens from a lot of hard work, work from my heart, That's what we do. So I'm going to take you down the trail to the beach, and I'm going to show you a video collage of pictures and clips of our activities as we saw this beach that was built in 1950s, segregated from Pontchartrain Beach because the society didn't want black people to swim with white people, and they pushed us all the way out here to this place. They built 17 acres of recreation, 10 acres across the street as a parking lot and other things. So it's been shut down for over 50 years now. And I came back here all the time, and I saw this place last year. It was just full of trash, full of garbage, polluting the land. I had to do something about it. One bag at a time. Let your light shine. That's what I want you to do as future coastal leaders. Each of you, power to the people, power to the person. I want to empower each one of you to become leaders in your community. So I'm going to turn this camera around and show you my favorite place. Getting into the beach is the moment everybody have. You got to have your phone out, and when your eyes open up and you see these waters hitting this shore, and these trees on the beach, and the beautiful nature, birds, and everything just flying around with you. It's just heaven on earth. I'm going to go have a seat and I want to tell you the story of how it all happened. One day, I wrote a poem. I got tired of all the classisms and the racism that we have in this world. These things that tell us who we are and who we are not. Black ain't black. My true history predates the introduction of that. See, what I learned as a child was they drew this line and created this thing called black and white types of people in America. White people ruled a group of people who, through chattel slavery, were transatlantic traded from the origin of civilization by Caucasians and brought to their new world. And it took dark-hued natives and freed women and men and made them their slaves. Colonized in the name of God, they say we were better off, my God. Castrated from our land and heritage, then created a class system by colors, placed us subjects predicated to oppression. After killing the native tribes with no discretion, they told Tonto, thanks for giving, and put us at the bottom of Tonto's trail of tears totem pole. And on our worn, whipped, scarred backs, he wrote his Bill of Rights and declared his independence and put that flag on a pole. The founding fathers poured my ancestors' blood in the pen in his hand that wrote the Constitution. And I'm expected to pledge allegiance, ungrateful little. Our next day stepping from the field to the plantation, from the house black to the field black, poisson blonde to pot black. A fact, we built the wealth of this nation. Just did get paid reparations to repair the displacement. Pictures of our lynchings give me horror. I wipe my eyes and marvel how we carved the wood, nailed the nail, laid the brick, cast the iron. Get it? We built the French quarters, but we're not accepted in our own home. Three-fifths of man, they say. I am a man. My sign says I matter. This government doesn't reflect us. The two political parties been started. We were delayed through 400 years of slavery. Got us late for the party. Colored people time. They cut the cake crumbs for you. The economy consumes you. $1 trillion in consumer spending comes from you. Realigning predatory, lending you this pyramid scheme of capitalism. You looking for a come up. We not living, we just trying to survive. They living by grace, I'm alive. Ta-ta, ta-ta. The most shot by cows. In are the slaves of the prison industrial complex. That's constitutional too. And your just us is just us. It's just us. Look, Dead Prayer says one dreadlock is stronger than one strand. In the community, we must communicate and operate in unity. In the word compassion, there's two words, compass and passion. From the north, south, east, and the west, we must surround our communities with passion, implement intelligent, strategic, proactive actions. Who are you, man? What is your legacy? His story is not your story. As a man thinketh, so shall he be. Rewind your mind, re-educate so we can relate on this ship. Let's build relationships. Look over the horizon. Tell you about the dividing and conquering Lynch. About how they killed your leaders with COINTELPRO. Give them a holiday and make them a hero. Seem like one thing these United States are united in is against us, you know. Funny how the acronym for United States spelled the word us. Meaning this country was built for them, not in us. An inherited privilege undenied, while my people were institutionally dehumanized. They have yet to pay for this human crime. But in time, you know, you reap what you sow. I'm planting seeds, watching them grow. You know, after I did that poem, I started learning about the sources of marine litter and what really affects us. You know, our trash comes to Lincoln Beach. So when I saw that trash and I saw the beautiful skies, I said, what can I do about it? You see the trash polluting the waters, so you see the birds enjoying the waters. That trash gets to our animals, gets to our marine life. So we created something called Clean Up and Chill. It's emergency cleanup. We came together with friends and families of all cultures and all walks of life. Donations came from many people and many places. You know, we just appreciate all that. It was a diverse effect. During a time where everything was down, something came us and made us smile, you know. Community doing for each other. That's what we needed on Lincoln Beach. Clean up our environment. Everybody felt like they played a part. And that's what it's about. You having some initiative and doing the impossible. One bag at a time. Alright. So it's about the last whole bag we got right now. Really want to show our supporters all the hard work we've accomplished. Everyone who donated to us, everyone who dropped some sweat on the land with us, everyone who came out to chill with us, to all the people who took the tours. We're getting somewhere. Come see. Yeah, so you see all the bags we got up. The city contractors are just about finished clearing out the entrance for us to get these bags out. We're using this as stationary so the bags don't get wet, so we can get off the environmental land, so we can restore the land back to the environment. Look, take a walk with me. We're gonna show you what we got here. We're pretty much clean the West Beach. This is the trail we got. Our little abatement system. We're gonna get the trash off the beach. This is our trail to get to the shelter. All kind of system. I tied a dial to my bike a second ago. Buddy caught all that stuff. And look, like these bags right here, we appreciate it. But we need those contractor bags, full ply. All that work done with just a few tools. Roll. And hey, best thing to get around in. Come on. Let's go see a raw look where we at for real, for real. All right, the paso. If you saw videos of where it was, look what it is. No trash over there. Yeah. Remember this trash right here? No trash right here. Look, y'all remember this pile of trash right here? It's about gone. Hey, Paso.
Hello.
Thank you for picking it up. Yeah.
I thought they were going to pick it up when they left last night.
I know you weren't here last night.
Yeah, I was.
Okay.
But I thought we left early.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to clean up the mess when they left.
So we must take care of the beach, must take care of the forest, so we can enjoy it. You know, I love kayaking. It's one way to get into shape real easy. It allows me to explore the waters. I love seeing the history at Lincoln Beach, the old pools. I love giving the tours to everyone. We're going to talk about how we can preserve the shoreline, you know, how we can make sanctuaries where we can come together and heal with each other. We can enjoy the waters with our children, our families. If we take care of it, we have things to eat, like this beautiful drum right here. I love teaching kids about water recreation. I love sitting back and having campfires and making sure we enjoy things. These are things we do that people can come at sunset and have beautiful times with their families. So we go in the community and make sure the streets are clean in the community, right? Like this lady here. Hi, Mom.
Next Saturday, the 19th, 2020, we'll be on Renee Street. And I'm asking everybody to come on, please give us a hand. I see the light at the end of the tunnel. And you know for a fact God is good.
All day.
And I thank him for it. I thank him. Don't give me the shout now.
And then when you do all that good work, soon you get to represent your community on news stations, and they put out good reports helping your mission and your hard work.
The Oak Grove above the sand at Lincoln Beach in New Orleans East offers a rare view in our city. A closer look, though, and something more common. a decaying shell of what used to be.
When do you think the last time a television crew was on this beach?
Oh my God, it's probably decades.
Officially, Lincoln Beach, the black alternative to the popular Pontchartrain beach, has been closed since desegregation in the mid-1960s. After years of neglect, the tunnel that once symbolized the entrance to a safe place for blacks looks like this, flooded and gator infested. Still, people have found a way in by hopping a fence and going down a new trail. One of those looking to trail a new future for Lincoln Beach shows me the old pool.
There's a long history and legacy here that once we start talking, it goes deep.
Sage Michael, as he likes to be called, knows the history of this place better than most.
This is unique, unlike any other thing in the United States. This is land dedicated for black people. We can look over there and see at West End, they didn't want black people over there. They moved it down to Mildenburg, they didn't want you there. They didn't want you at Seabrook, so they said, come all the way down here to Lincoln Beach. And they moved the fishing camps where World Seward came. And then after desegregation, it's shut down since '65.
Michael has been organizing cleanups here, posting don't litter signs, and keeping trails clear. He is doing all of this while trespassing.
Guess what? The cans that I recycle could pay for that citation. I want the cans I recycle to pay for $80 for the signs we just had made to encourage people don't trash.
The passion that Michael has for this place comes from its history. There is something to learn, he says, from the highs and lows of Lincoln Beach. His love also comes from what is so visually apparent. In a city surrounded by seawalls and protected by levees, this 17-acre beach off of Hain Boulevard offers something different, and people want in.
The people really want access to be able to get into the water, and this is a perfect area. The water's really, really clean in this area. There's not a lot of boat traffic and all, and I think the folks have figured that out.
Being out here, as you can see, there's family.
Councilmember Cindy Nguyen is more interested in getting the beach back open safely than she is in trying to punish anyone for using it.
I think there's several significant factors for me. One is to give many of our senior citizens, our elderly, when they were little, where they used to play here, for them to get an opportunity to come back and then bring their children and their grandkids, right? That's something that we always enjoy doing.
Earlier this month, Mayor LaToya Cantrell approved the launch of a study to explore reopening Lincoln Beach. The first phase is figuring out what kind of plants are on the site to see if any might be poisonous. The other step is figuring out how much, if any, of what remains, including the swimming pool and concrete pads, can be saved for historical value.
You know, really doing an assessment, understanding the features that are here. And of course, there are some hazards that have just grown from a lack of attention over the years. There's some wildlife out here. There's some litter and broken glass, but all of that can be assessed.
That's the pool on this side. It was named after an ex-slave and civil rights worker.
Michael wants to first clean up the beach, then see the land used by the community with gardens, safe hiking trails, historic markers, social services for the homeless. There have been grand aspirations like this in the past, but all have failed.
What do you say to those people who say those plans are too ambitious?
My plans are reality because my plans have started. I've taken initiative because sometimes you can't wait. This land is my land, this land is your land. That's American song. This land is for black heritage to celebrate with all cultures.
Aiming high, hoping to one day see the return of Lincoln Beach. Paul Dudley, Eyewitness News.
So going from cleaning up to being in touch with Pontchartrain Conservancy and other environmental groups like Water Wise Gulf South, and just learning about rain barrels and things we could do in our community. And you get a chance to speak to the community at community forums like this right here.
For Lincoln Beach.
Yeah!
Now, what are we gonna look like next to the sign that says no trespassing? I guess we just won't be by that sign. You know, what a piece of history. You know, what a jewel right in the middle of our city, often not remembered. Eastern New Orleans is very much a part of the city of New Orleans, and these are beautiful vestiges of what we were and what we can be again. What's up, my brother? Bless you, baby. Bless you, bless you. Bliss. Hey, Bliss, how are you? Hey, Ollie, how you doing?
It's like we got a problem. It is the tunnel, and they got trash on there in the road right here. Say, all right, I'm gonna figure it out. I went Google, what kind of pump drain, what water, amount of time, did my math equation, we got the right size pump. I snuck a big bobcat back here, and we moved about 3 tons of debris out this tunnel. I unclogged these drains too. I excavated them and unclogged them. And
over that way, we can have event space. Over this way, we can have a sanctuary with social program. Run clubs, health clubs, bike clubs, all that. It's too easy. This is democracy. We have ideas. We can't get a pump. Just give us a dumpster. This is pollution. We're educating our community on environmentalism, on responsibility for our community.
There's plenty of stuff that we documented and recorded, took pictures, that hasn't been online. So everybody didn't get a chance to see everything because we were warned to not show what we were doing because we were trespassing. So
John Lewis, the civil rights icon and former member of the Congress who marched with Dr. King, who was a part of the infamous march across the Pettus Bridge. He is a congressman who talked about his years of service and fighting for justice and human rights. And he talked about the many times that he was arrested, many times he was beaten, and he referred to it as good trouble. And what you're doing, good trouble.
Tonight, a group here in New Orleans says their goal for 2021 is to bring back an area that's been closed for nearly 60 years. And now funding from the city might bring Lincoln Beach one step closer to being open once again to the public. Shay O'Connor has more on why those who have been cleaning the beach have been doing it against the city's orders.
the city should be fully funding this project or including New Orleans for Lincoln Beach.
Reggie Ford and Sage Michael, along with other members of New Orleans for Lincoln Beach, have been efforting to restore the beach right off Hain Boulevard in New Orleans East. The COVID-19 pandemic allowing them the time to work on the abandoned area, taking on tasks like removing trash, poison ivy, building a walking trail throughout the 17-acre area, and clearing the tunnel leading to the old amusement park and beach.
The beach not for me personally. It's my work for my community while there's COVID going on. So it's perfect timing for me. And it's just my gift giving back to my city and the people don't have.
The beach was once an African American's alternative to Pontchartrain Beach until its closing in 1965 amid desegregation. Currently, the area remains closed to public. In fact, the city says trespassers could receive a citation of up to $500.
We have a piece of property that's so connected to the community that we feel as though we've been supported by our community, the people in the community. The community wants us to play a part in the process. What we're doing is getting into good trouble.
And the city sees the public's interest. According to this statement from a city rep, New Orleans is delegating more than $300,000 to a Lincoln Beach assessment project and determining what would be needed to reopen the area officially to public. Officials say the city is also working to assemble a formal Lincoln Beach Community Advisory Committee. But for those who say they've always seen the beach for the true gem it is.
We want to be partners with the city, but we feel as though we're getting penalized for the good that we're doing.
And the men say they're hoping to see the city put more effort into the beach in 2021. But if not, they'll continue to do their part.
I'm doing the community work out my own pockets. Will they beat me to the punch? I hope they do.
Shay O'Connor, WDSU News.
So, future coastal leaders, what is your mission? What do you choose to do? Just as these bees are working together, busy bees, many different type of bees, even on these same flowers. Choose your mission. Choose your passion. Get connected with your environment. The environment is what's next to you, and open up from there. We have a whole world to explore, right out our footstep, right underneath our nose, right here at Lincoln Beach. So, I'll see you soon on our coast. The
Wow, that's excellent.
Man, Sage, that is that's powerful. Uh, and that's by no means the first time I've watched it, but I still get goosebumps at certain parts and inspired every time. Is there anything you don't do, man? You're out there leading cleanup efforts, putting in your own sweat equity, poetry, video production,
Yeah.
eradicating invasive species. I saw you chopping down those tallow trees. I mean,
Right.
and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
all around, just like leading this vision for this restored Lincoln Beach. It's powerful, and we've got a
Yeah.
lot of comments towards that end that have been popping up that I'm about to share. So.
Okay, great. That video took me through a lot of emotions, man. That's a lot of history in that right there. I appreciate y'all highlighting it. Thank you so much.
Man, I think I could speak on behalf of all of our staff and a lot of people that have been weighing in so far on the chat. We
Yeah.
appreciate what you're doing and the way that you're able to capture it and lay it out there for everybody. I'm curious, what was kind of the initial reaction that perhaps you received from authorities or the mayor? It seems like in the clip that they showed with Mayor Cantrell, she was obviously very, very supportive and trying looked like she was leaning into your efforts. But explain a little bit of kind of maybe the good trouble that you've had to endure, so to speak, in order to get to where you are now.
Yeah, well, the city officials have been very engaging throughout the process. I think that they definitely recognize the social media campaign which we put out, the work that we laid, the groundwork that we laid out prior to even us trying to engage with city leaders. Coming from an organizer background, I knew that once attention started to get on, I had to really try to steer it a certain way. And that's when we formed a Facebook group and got that group numbers up. And that's when we knew, we want to go through our city leads like Cindy Nguyen first and things like that. So she was our first contact with the city government. We wanted her to come see for herself what was going on at the site. And it's a sweet and sour type of engagement, but not empowering as of yet. And that's all I can say. Empowering me, placing positions, agreements formed, consultations being adhered to. Those type of things are empowering to me, but have yet to really see that come to fruition.
Absolutely. And so kind of along those same lines, help us understand a little bit more about like what is the timeline? What are kind of the next steps? I know that the city is supposed to be doing an assessment of like they said, poisonous species and things like that. But have they committed to any timeline and like a date that they're going to have the study done by? And then what happens beyond that?
Well, your assessment is right here.
All right.
Yes, Councilwoman Cindy Nguyen handed me a personal copy myself. I talked to her. We're gonna there are gonna be some community meetings happening. The president of New Orleans for Lincoln Beach, the organization I co-founded that got the cleanup going, Trisha Wallace, she's gonna have a meeting at the end of May. You can go on New Orleans for Lincoln Beach Facebook for that. Councilwoman Cindy Nguyen is going to have a meeting in June. She announced on her website a district-wide meeting. And we're going to have some meetings prior to that just to make sure we all on one page with the community and with our council person so we could be on one page. And yes, your 367,000 is right here. And yes, 164 pages on a PDF. Yeah, I looked through it all. It's a good read. It's interesting. Yeah.
I believe you read it back and forth and back already. If what I just saw is any indication of your commitment to what you want to ultimately see. Could you speak to that a little bit? What is your ideal vision? And you kind of hinted at this in the video of the potential for having like a community center and having learning and educational opportunities. And I just really say that personally, and I think I got this quote down, but when you say this land is for Black heritage to share with all cultures,
Yeah.
that's powerful, man. That's
Yeah.
like because some people could take the stance that this was once an area that was has a lot of bad history around it with segregation, and your stance is not like this should again be a Black only area, but this is you said it. Those are your words. So let me understand a little bit more and let the audience understand a little bit more. Like what is the ideal scenario of what this could become, and speak more to that quote if you could.
To speak to what you're saying about that side of celebrating Black heritage with all people, meaning that in New Orleans, the people that they travel here to see don't we don't make the money. Like they come to see my mama cooking red beans, the way she make the bay at Lafitte Guest House. We stay in Lafitte Project and glamorizing these pirates. At the same time, you don't uplift the natives that were here. And then with giving respect to the people that were here before it was like Black people, because that was built up to 17. It was like 2.5 acres at first, and just like your previous speaking, and being conscious of the native people, the Chittimacha, the Choctaws, the Houma, Tapatulas, and everybody else who have a deep understanding of that. I even give reverence to that because it precedes me, right? Because when I'm out there, I see artifacts that I know that they use to chop open those clamshells as I'm walking the beach. And it's a spiritual place. So that's one thing, that must be held differently. It's a spiritual place. It's a place of heritage. It's not just a development, right? It's not just a place like Six Flags is a development. This place is a different place where to get to how I would like to see it done, I would like to see it being held as a public trust with trustees that encompasses different expertise, community expertise, environmental and governmental, legal, and have trustees guide the process and have a trust fund set aside because there are so many funding sources for this project, coastal restoration, environmental protection, historical, national wildlife, economic development. I mean, so many funding sources that we could tag on to this project until we don't need anyone licking chops at it, right? I want to lick chops at this. I want to lick chops at that. I want a piece of this. The reason why, so we just need all that funding going into public trust, where we pay for Lincoln Beach, where we pay for I believe in a phased development. I don't believe in a colossal boom heavy structure. I believe in going with the environment. Everything blends with the nature environment. So it's a phased development. My first thing I want it to be is legally open, safe to open, where people just go to the beach and touch the water. That's it. It's all I want. Just open the door, open the gate, walk down the trails. We got trails already developed. We've been getting in good trouble, so we don't wait for it. It belongs to the city, right? It was first Orleans Levee Board owned it. It was a land swap with the city. They got South Shore, and the city got Lincoln Beach. So this Lincoln Beach, and it's neglected. And I'm just like, wow, this is a beautiful place. How can it be? Even the 10 acres across the street that's neglected. Like why? So development is just have it one for the community, by the community. We all have our visions. Event space on this side, sanctuary on this side for social services, a deck where you could just look over the water, or like maybe a splash pool where you can just wade in the water, where you can look over the nature sanctuary, the wetlands we have designated out there, the trails we already developed around there, where you can do hiking trails, running trails. I mean, I ride my bike around these trails I've been making. It's vicious. It's crazy. It's like it's crazy, man. You know, we've been doing drainage projects so we don't have standing water on the land. You know, pumping water out. We've been doing stuff like Bernard the Maroney and Carondelet was doing back in the the 1700s. But we're not doing it to rape the land. We're doing it to take care of the land. You know, and take care of the people. And so that's what I want. Fairgrounds. There's a large concrete pad area. Man, we could have 3 festivals going on at one time. Real talk. Real talk.
No,
at,
man,
at one time.
that's respect, man. That's putting nature first and foremost, and making sure that everything is developed, for the people, by the people, as you also quoted in the video. So we do have a question. Somebody wants to know, like, when did you first find out about Lincoln Beach? Has this been something that has always been on your mind since you were young, or is this something that all of a sudden you were like, man, what's going on with this area, and what can I do, or help us understand?
Yeah. So we are like in our community, we just had stories about in New Orleans we got places we could go, we can't go. So you get the stories about your dad used to tell you about Lincoln Beach. So when I moved in New Orleans East, like in the in the 90s, I had my dogs. I hopped that levee. Let me go find out what they talking about. And I'm a bad boy, so I've been hopping fences all my life. So hopping that fence wasn't no problem. And I just in the 90s they still had the old structures there. They took all the structures down after Katrina when they demolished, for future hopeful development. But I saw the old structures and it was like a real ghostly area. I was like, wow. I just I can't imagine my parents there at that time, enjoying themselves in that big huge pool that everybody could fit in, or just like wow, or just couldn't go to Pontchartrain Beach, and it's just it just was surreal. Yeah, surreal. Yeah.
Excellent. So many good questions coming in here.
Let it roll, man. I'm ready. I could talk all day.
So we have one from Raymond Sweet, which big shout out to Raymond for making it 3 days in a row to this program. And and he says that we really have to change New Orleans culture. Everyone throws trash on the ground, black, white, and everyone. Are there any best practices for changing culture, just like with the stop smoking campaigns that actually worked?
Yeah, I think that really when I first got my awakening to stop littering, I went to I was on my way to Disney World, and I was on Orlando. Just breeding the culture, just throwing a little something out the window. I just threw something out the window. Man pulled up next to me and said, "But we don't do that out here. I don't know where you." We was at life. Look. And so I had an awakening, and sometime in life you get these short awakenings. So that's when I had an awakening. But what can we do? Let your light shine.
Oh crap. Ooh. Hey everybody, looks like we may have had a little bit of a internet lag there. Unfortunately, right in the good spot of Sage's reply. Looks like he might have froze up. We'll give him another minute here to see if he can join. Regardless, there's a few other questions and comments that came in. A lot of people showing love in the Q&A. A lot of people are asking what they could do to help. What can Nicole ask? Can people donate supplies to you? Do you have volunteer days? Somebody else says, I'm so inspired. What can the general public do to get funding to open it? And so we're going to give it just another minute here to see if Sage can connect back. If not, it looks like he's popping back up right now.
glitched on me. I don't know what that was, Corey. I apologize.
That's all right, man. We have quickly though, like we have a couple people that want to know what they could do to help. What can they donate supplies? Can they volunteer? I know that the trespassing thing is a little bit of issue right now still with that, but like quick just kind of to close it out, where can people go to connect and to show some more love?
Yeah, definitely on Facebook. You can connect with me at Sageville Group, Sageville. That's a Facebook group. I'm on that. And on Instagram, you connect with me, Sageville_New Orleans, Saville_New Orleans. And that's my Instagram. Those are my two handles right now. I definitely share a lot on those two handles. And my organization, Sageville Farmer, right now, you hear more about that from that. For donating right now, when I didn't get a chance to say right now, I need more commitment than anything. Supplies and things are great. I've been blessed to receive some grants from people recognizing me from like Foundations Louisiana, and people have been sponsoring different activities I've been having along this whole journey, you know. But right now, I need more commitment, and I need you to spread our news to your networks. That's what I need. Share it, share our messages, share our story. Myself, Reggie Ford, Trisha Wilder from New Orleans from Lincoln Beach. Get the word out. Tell them this need to be done differently, Mayor. Cindy Nguyen, listen to these people. They are good people. They sound like they know what they're talking about. Just empower them and put them at the table for real, you know, and give them opportunity. And do that. And once you do that, that's the most you can do for us right now. And then when we need funds, we'll know the numbers we need, and we'll be responsible for those funds when we receive those, and you know where those funds went. We need an entrance. That's number one. The assessment have 3 different options. We weigh those options out, and that's the first thing right now. So we need an entrance. Nothing happens without an entrance. So that's the first step there.
Awesome, man. I know you inspired some people, and we're going to make sure that we send a follow-up email to everybody with those handles and with how they can get involved more. We're going to go ahead and shift now over to our last. Thank you very much, Sage. That was just beautifully put together, and lots of people showing love through the Q&A. A little bit of an announcement. Unfortunately, our last presentation or presenter is in Puerto Rico right now, trying to save the world, one city, one town at a time. Colette Pichon Battle. Unfortunately, she's had to travel to an area that she thought was going to have some reliable internet connection, and just is not working out for her. We are going to go ahead and show this wonderful presentation that gives a great coverage of the Gulf South for a Green New Deal, and her organization and their efforts. But we are not going to have her live for a Q&A. I'll come back on for a little closing, but please enjoy this presentation.
Well, bonjour, y'all. My name is Colette Pichon Battle. I'm the Executive Director of the Gulf Coast Center for Law and Policy. It is my honor and pleasure to be back at the half shell. I mean, I think it's actually true. I've started eating more oysters on the half shell since I've begun to participate in half shell. That's how much I love half shell. Thank you. Shout out to Corey and folks at CRCL, and even just this space that's been here for a few years. It's good to be back. I'm calling in today from traditional lands of the Choctaw Nation on the North Shore. And this is my home. It's been the home of my family since before this was America. And it's always just an honor to be here. And, you know, these days, just happy to wake up in the morning and see all the great folks working and doing good work in our great state. I just want to mention a little bit about my organization, the Gulf Coast Center for Law and Policy. We got started in the aftermath of Katrina. We started off with disaster recovery. We quickly began to learn that we were dealing with more than just a regular disaster. And then when the BP oil drilling disaster happened, we began to connect the dots between the consequences of our fossil fuel-based economy, our extractive economy, and what happens to frontline communities. What happens when we have to start making changes in our economic system and in our in how we think about labor and how we treat people, how we care for each other. So this has been a journey of love over the last 15 years, almost 16. And the work has really built on itself. The Gulf Coast Center for Law and Policy offers free legal services, free and low-cost legal services to folks, but we've really been taking that data to see where there are issues in our structures and in our policies. That work's been going on for a while, and in 2015, we anchored Gulf South Rising. I'll mention Gulf South Rising because it is the base and the foundation of a new formation called Gulf South for a Green New Deal. And Gulf South for a Green New Deal really launched itself in New Orleans in 2019 at the Mahalia Jackson Center after bringing together the Homa Nation. There was the chief of the Homa Nation, along with African practitioners in Congo Square to bless the movement, to bless the work, and to bless us all who will engage and commit to working on the climate crisis and its impact in the Gulf South. And this, of course, was after Representative Ocasio-Cortez out of New York. She introduced a resolution around the Green New Deal in Congress, and it was a mighty vision. It still is a mighty vision that we're supportive of, but we also noticed that there were some things missing. The Gulf South was missing, our fisheries were missing, our coastal communities really weren't visible, but we took the point. We took the question and we said, you know, what does a Green New Deal need to look like for the Gulf South? And what do our voices say we need? So we actually went through a 6-month process, bringing in people from the front lines of communities in Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida, really bringing those folks together to cultivate not just what our vision is for a better and more sustainable future, but what our values are for a more sustainable future. And I'll just tell you some of the values. I mean, it's really critical to understanding our work, because no matter the campaign, no matter the project, we have to go back to the values that we've all agreed on and collectively decide to adhere to those values and to hold each other accountable to them. Value number 1 is an agreement to advance equity. And secondly, is to follow Indigenous and frontline leadership. Advancing equity and following Indigenous and frontline leadership, these are simple things, right? No, you know, the manifestation of equity, the practice of equity is actually quite difficult. I've really been proud of so many people across this nation who have taken this moment to begin to really think about equity and really think about what's happening in the communities around this nation and what we have to do as individuals to change and really transform this system that we're living in. And following Indigenous and local leadership, it is usually tokenized. And instead, we're starting to see a trend toward people actually listening to people whose historic proof is that they can manage this earth better than so many of us think we can. The third value is to build community wealth and health. And that's a shout out to folks coming out of St. James and working around these refineries who have declared that our health is our wealth, and it is that we need to protect as we're moving forward in Louisiana. And we need to invest in visionary and transformative change. We are definitely talking about the transition that is needed in our economy, but mostly what we're talking about is the transformation that is needed of our society. The fifth value is to advance community and local control. We've got to get control of our energy, y'all. We've got to get control of our water, our natural resources. This privatization that is happening, that's taking our ability away from us, especially in times of crisis, it can't be allowed. And so this is what we're all committed to advancing. And then we want to use that intersectional approach. We can't talk about climate without talking about housing. We can't talk about education without talking about the criminal justice system. All of these things intersect and are impacted by a new climate reality. And finally, and probably most radically, we want to value all humans equally. Now, I know this sounds, you know, like a big radical statement. It shouldn't sound radical. To value each other equally, we got that part, y'all. We know how to do that. We're Southerners. Our mamas raised us right. We know what that means. We don't have to agree. We don't even have to like each other, but we certainly have to understand that you're God's creation and I'm God's creation, and we have to value each other equally. But these values really show that, you know, we are of this region. We're not ashamed of our tradition and who we are and our culture. In fact, we're proud of it. And we're using that, all of those teachings that we learned from grandma and them, all of those things we learned, and I don't know if y'all went to Catholic school, all that Catholic school you had to go to, all of those churches and Sunday Bible schools you had to go to. We learned all of this stuff, value each other equally. to follow the leadership of the people of this land. We know this is right. And this is really what we're rooting in. We're going to start this vision. We're going to attain this vision by coming together. And when we come together, we know we've got some work to do. We've got to begin by healing and reconciling our relationships with each other and with this planet. We've got to connect and we've got to build. We can't just be about tearing things down. We've got to really take the time and do the work to figure out what do we want to connect and what do we want to build up together. We want to shift and we want to reimagine. Shout out to the artists and the culture bearers. I mean, we've got to get some innovative vision around this. And I'm not just talking about technology. I'm talking about beauty. I'm talking about creativity. I'm talking about that thing that comes from the soul and it comes from the heart of people in Louisiana and across the Gulf South. We want to democratize and we want to organize. It's time for everybody to participate. This is a moment where all of our energy is really about how we survive this new climate reality. So we need everyone. We've got to organize, we've got to move together, but we've got to advance structures and systems that allow all voices in to be heard and to be valued equally. And then finally, and I say this especially to those of you who are supporting organizations around Louisiana and who are donating to them, this is really about resourcing and reinvesting. We need dollars, but we don't just need dollars as charity. We need dollars as a political statement for the change and the transformation that we want to see. And so if you're supporting an organization working on justice or environment or climate, that is the right place to put your dollars and your support. But we also need your time, and we invite all of you to join the Gulf South for Green New Deal as a part of your organization, your church, your community group. Just come on in and say, we're ready to work. We're ready to help save the planet. We've got a few doors for you to walk into. You can think about this from the door of water and all that that means. We've got droughts, we've got floods, it's raining right now. There's sea level rise. This is an issue. If this is your issue, come on in. If you're really working on the land, looking at the trees, the wetlands, looking at agriculture, this is part of our state. We need you to come in. We've got energy, that's a door. I mean, all of us understand the role of energy in our state, but why can't we be a renewable energy state? Why can't we be a clean energy state? How do we make that transition? We don't have to be so beholden to these dirty things that harm us. And then there's a door around economy. This is not just about surviving the climate crisis. This is about having access to wealth, all of us, the kind of wealth that we all need, especially when the climate crises and extreme weather increase and come more and more. And finally, we have a door around labor. If you are thinking about workers or living wages or even the rights of women in the workplace, this is a door for you to come in, because all of this is going to be impacted by the climate crisis, and we're inviting everyone in. Gulf South for a Green New Deal is not saying we've got all the answers. That's not what we're saying. We're a group of brilliant people across 5 states, and we are indeed going to save the planet. But we're not going to do it because we have all the answers. We're going to do it because we trust each other, and we have nothing to lose by working together and moving together. We're doing the work. We're figuring it out. We're learning from each other. We're asking tough questions. We're working through tough conversations. But then we're getting to solution, because we don't have any more time to spin in guilt or in shame or in anger. We've got to move past that, and we're asking you to join us. So go ahead and look us up, www.gulfsouth4gnd.org. And we're really looking forward to you joining us and joining this movement that we have going on. You don't have to change anything about who you are or what you do. You simply have to agree to those values and join us. We have regional calls once a month, and it would be great to see y'all on the next call. With that, I'll turn it over and open to questions. Thank you.
And as mentioned, unfortunately, Colette is tied up again, trying to help out Puerto Rico. So this is going to go ahead and conclude our formal programming for our 2021 Restoration on the Half Shell event. Please do follow up with the Gulf South for Green New Deal. We're going to go ahead and send out an email that'll give you some links to that, some links to Sage Michael's efforts and how you can participate, and as well as Sandy Nguyen and her organization and everyone else that we've covered. We thank everyone who has participated, everyone that joined in, all of you that are currently still with us. Much thanks to our wonderful presenters and contributors, not just today, but throughout the course of the 3 programs or the 3 sessions. Our community partners whose virtual booths are still active through tomorrow evening. So you can still have time to go and check out all the different partners, or not all, but a lot of the partners that we work with day in and day out. We also encourage you to check out our sponsors who made this possible. One specific shout out to check out the Mississippi River Network. You could sign up to be a river citizen. All it takes is just entering in a little bit of information and engaging in a commitment to a healthy Mississippi River for people, land, water, and wildlife. And lastly, don't forget to fill out your evaluations. Let us know how we did. Let us know how we can improve. This is something that we want to continue to build upon and grow and get better and better. And a teaser, we hope to do this on an annual basis moving forward, not in every other year, and really continue to grow this. So thank you all very much. Have a blessed evening and see you next time.